Here, let me share a story with you. We got the family together yesterday. I'll pull this out in case I might need it. I'll set that right there. He'll figure out what to do with it later. It's and took the whole family to Fredericksburg, and so we got to get. You think it wouldn't be so hard to get 5 of us out the door at the same time, but it is, which is why 2 of them are missing right now. I don't know where they are. And we left without them. I was like, we'll see you at some point. We don't know. So we get everybody together. We're going to go to Fredericksburg yesterday, and it was like a scene from Little House on the Prairie. I mean, Pop hitched a wagon, and we're going to town, right? It's and so the highlight of the trip, the one thing that we were most excited about is eating lunch at Firebirds. If you've not been to Firebirds restaurant, then you're really not living yet. There's a lot of room ahead of you, at least. We were going to Firebirds, and on the weekends they actually have a brunch menu. This is not spiritual right now, but we're going to get there. All right, give me a minute. They have a brunch menu, and on the brunch menu there is a breakfast burger, and so it is this thick burger with bacon. And it has a fried egg, and there's like a bacon jam they put on it, lettuce, tomato, and all that stuff as well. And it's about like that. And it is fantastic. It really is the best burger I have ever put in my mouth anywhere. And so we are all pretty excited. We're going to Firebirds as a whole family, and we're going to eat lunch, right? And so we all get in the car. We're about to leave, and my wife Erin remembers, I forgot the gift cards. We have gift cards to Firebirds. That's how all of us are going. Without the gift cards, it's a table for 2. And the rest of them can figure it out. I don't care. But we have gift cards, and so, we're all going. And so we hit the brakes. She gets out of the car, goes back inside. She comes back out a couple minutes later, and we are on our way to Fredericksburg, going to eat lunch at Firebirds, and we're all pretty excited. And about halfway to Fredericksburg, she remembers she didn't get the gift cards. You went back in to get the gift cards. How do you not get the gift cards? When I went in, I realized I was wearing the wrong shoes. So I changed shoes and forgot the gift cards. Came back out, got in the car. I'm all the way headed to Fredericksburg thinking we're going to Firebirds. We've got gift cards. This is not going to be so bad. It's a great day. And then about halfway there, we realize, oh, no. We don't have the gift cards. Man, my heart was already set on Firebirds. It was the worst news. I mean, just the worst news. So, now we've got a decision to make. What do? Do we go to Cookout and be disappointed? That burger does not even come close. Or do I go on to Firebirds and then quietly file for divorce later? I'm having to figure this thing out on the road now. And processing as we go down the highway. What's going to be the outcome here? Where are we going to eat lunch? I don't know what's going to happen now. And so what do I choose? Well, the story is ultimately not about where we eat lunch. It's about how we demonstrate love. And I'm not saying I did so great in the moment. I'm not. I didn't say anything unkind. I didn't have a great emotional reaction. But on the inside, man, I was bummed. I'm like, this is either going to hurt my feelings or hurt my wallet. Either way, I'm hurt. One way or the other, I'm going down here. And so, I was on the negative side of this thing for probably about 20 minutes. And it wasn't until I sunk my teeth into that burger at Firebirds, if you want to know which way we went, that, I forgot all of my financial woes temporarily. Eventually, to bring you that little black thing, it's like, oh, Jiminy Christmas. It was like, I don't know. But we got over it. It was fine. We had a fantastic meal together, all 5 of us. And yes, I let Erin eat 2 against my better judgment. I even took her to the mall afterwards and bought her a new coat, jacket. It was on sale. It was all right. That's the only way we're buying one. And it was, and so I just wanted to tell you that, if you see me delivering pizzas this week, what happened. This is what happened. You know, we went to Firebirds and we didn't have the gift cards, and so I'm broke. But I had a thought this morning as I was, going over the message for today, and you'll see where it's headed in a minute. And here was the thought. Here's the epiphany. You cannot be gracious if you're not grateful. Now that's worth your price of admission. I want you to put that in your pipe and smoke it for just a moment. You cannot be gracious if you're not grateful. It's a prerequisite for graciousness. We want to be gracious to people, right? We should be gracious to people. And you just can't get there unless you're grateful. And Jesus taught us this all the way back in Luke chapter 41 through 43. Here's the story. A certain moneylender had two debtors, and one owed 500 and the other owed 50. And we can put dollars there if you wanted to, or 1,000, doesn't matter. And when they could not pay, he canceled the debt of both of them. And Jesus asked the question, now which one's going to love him more? And Simon answered, the one, I suppose, for whom he canceled the larger debt. And he's like, bingo. That's it. You've rightly judged. To whom much is forgiven, that person loves much. The reality is we've all been forgiven equally. They say, well, our sin debt is so great that to compare it doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, your sin debt's greater than mine only if you've lived longer, and if you give me a minute, I'll catch you. That's it. It's all of us were on equal footing so far down that it was out of sight. We all required the equal amount of grace to come to Christ. And so he's given us a point here. It's like, look, the person that's been forgiven much loves much. There is the foundation for our love, not just for Christ, but for each other, coming to the reality of how much I've been forgiven. To be gracious, we have to be grateful. And the only way we can be grateful is to realize how much we've been given, how much we have, how much God has forgiven us. Then how in the world could I not be gracious to somebody else who cost me $150 for lunch? How could I not be? I found a way. So here's what I want to do today. I want to look at just 4 verses in Romans this morning that showcases love, but again, the foundation is understanding how much we have been loved. 1 John 4:19 says, we love because he first loved us. You cannot be gracious until you are grateful. And the perspective cannot be how much you have to forgive. It has to be how much you have been forgiven. Whenever we think about, what they did to me or what that cost me or how that hurt me, then we're already off focus. The reality is, you ready? Nobody has ever hurt you as much as you hurt God. Nobody has ever sinned against you as much as you have sinned against God. And what has been his response to you? Grace. That's been his response. His response to you has been grace. Well, how many times? We don't know. We don't want to know because it's a big number. Over and over and over and over and over again, God has showed us grace. He's done good things to us and for us, even though we've done bad things to him. Even though we have disrespected him and denied him and disobeyed him, God continues to pour out goodness on us. And realizing how great it is, how much grace God has given us is the right perspective. At that point, then we have gratitude. We should be so grateful for how much we've been given that it makes us gracious to other people. And so that is the foundation. When we live our lives in gratitude for the depth of his love, then we have the proper foundation for gracious love toward other people. Now, what does it look like? There's what we want to get to today. What does that gracious love look like? And that's where we get back into Romans. Genuine, godly love. What does it look like? So Paul demonstrates it. Now, this is kind of in between the lines, but it's in there, all right? So you had to work with me just a little bit. I love the fact that Romans is such a theological book, but this is not going to be a theological treatment this morning. We're just going to be not in Acts. We're going to be in Romans. Romans chapter 1, here it is. Paul teaches us what genuine love looks like. He says, first, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you because of the news of your faith is being reported in all the world. And so here's step number 1. If you want to genuinely show a godly love, step number one is celebrate others' success. Man, that is a big one in our society. Man, if we can just do that, we'll be so different than the rest of the world. Genuinely celebrate people's success. There is no jealousy in Paul's response here. There's no competitiveness in his response here. And look, jealousy is the byproduct of pride. We have difficulty celebrating the success of others, you ready for it? Because we are consumed with ourselves. One of the worst character traits that we could have is jealousy. It is so ugly. Now here's what it looks like. It masquerades as superiority, and it reveals itself in negativity. I want you to try it on for just a second. Jealousy masquerades as superiority, and it reveals itself in negativity. Sit with that for a second and think about it. It's the people who think they're better, and instead of saying, I'm better than them, instead of saying that, what they'll do is they'll diminish somebody else. They'll be negative about somebody else. And so that's what jealousy looks like. Masquerades as superiority, reveals itself in negativity. And we think we're better, so we disparage others rather than celebrating others. And why would we begrudge people their success, their luck, their grace, or their blessings? And look, if you're willing to throw somebody under the bus to improve yourself, then that's ugly. It comes from pride. It comes from flesh. And look, it is not appropriate for people of the kingdom. God has saved us. He has taken us out of the kingdom of darkness, and he brought us to the kingdom of light. We are now children of light. We have a different nature. We should live differently. We should act differently. We should respond differently. We should say differently. We should be different. And so jealousy has no place in it. And here's how our society works. Someone at work, Susan, whoever, you can give her a name, I don't care, that gets some privilege that I don't get. And so, somewhere I beat around the bush, or maybe I just come out and say it to the boss, like, she's getting this and I'm not getting that. I'd like to have that too. And instead of me getting the privilege that Susan's getting, then I end up getting the privilege taken away from Susan. Somehow I convince myself that that's okay, that that's just and that's fair, and that's all right for her not to have it if I don't have it. But all of that comes back to one reality, and that is some selfish, self-consumed jealousy and pride. All of it is built in sin. And here's what the truth is. It is so natural for us to live like that we don't notice it. We don't think there's anything wrong with that, and there is something wrong with it. From a heart position, there's something wrong with that. We shouldn't throw other people on the bus or try to better ourselves on the back of others or other people's successes or graces or blessings or luck. And that's how our society responds to things. And Jesus dealt with the same mentality. Hey, y'all been keeping up with the reading? I got behind. I'm in Luke, but I'm behind, all right? We've already been through Matthew and Mark, so if you're not keeping up with the reading, then you're a couple books behind already. It happened fast, didn't it? It's like, oh man, we didn't catch no break. No, we didn't. We went right on back into the New Testament, and it's been phenomenal. I'm telling you, it eats my lunch that I'm not preaching through the New Testament, although I'm excited to be preaching through Romans, and so I can't do both. And so here we are. I'll keep hitting it though. So Jesus was teaching in the book of Matthew about this very situation. And so here's the story he gave. This vineyard owner goes out to hire people to work in his vineyard, a day laborer, right? And so he goes out in the morning, he finds some people standing around and say, hey, go work in my vineyard. And I'm going to throw out a number here just to make the point. He's like, I'll give you $1,000 to go work in my vineyard today. And they're like, absolutely. I am in. And so they are into the vineyard, and they're happy as they can be, and they're picking grapes, I guess, whatever they're doing. And so $1,000 a day. And then around lunchtime, he's out about, and he sees some other people standing around and say, hey, why aren't you working today? It's like, nobody's hired us. He's like, well, go work in my vineyard. I'll give you $1,000. You work the rest of the day. Like, yeah. And they're gone. They're in the vineyard working. And then a few hours later, he's out again and sees some other guys. It's like, hey, you got to work? Like, nobody would hire us. He's like, well, go work in my vineyard. I'll give you $1,000 for what's left of the day. And they're like, you try to stop me. And so they were on it. And so now comes to the end of the day, everybody gathers around to get paid, and he gives everybody $1,000. And the first guy's like, whoa, time out. I worked all day. That guy worked an hour. And Jesus says, listen, he's going to make some points here. Point number one, the vineyard owner does not answer to the vineyard worker. Point number one, primarily, God, us. All right, let's make sure we get the order right. God, us. And so that he don't answer to us. He doesn't owe you any explanation for what he does, why he does. Number two, the only reason any of us got anything was because of his generosity. Guy number one didn't deserve $1,000. Guy number three didn't deserve $1,000. Everybody received because of the generosity of the Father. And then number three, and primarily, there is no room for jealousy in the kingdom because we're all here by grace. The best thing that has ever happened to you had nothing to do with you. It was all to do with God. By his nature, by his grace, he has saved you. And he has saved you for all of eternity in absolute bliss. And so that had nothing to do with you. And he says, look, there is no room for jealousy in the kingdom. Point number three, what does it matter to you if I do for him? How does that hurt you? It doesn't hurt you. It costs you nothing for God to show grace to somebody else. And the same thing for each other. We have to learn that people are going to get all sorts of different graces perhaps than we got. It doesn't have to be fair from our perspective. There's no room for jealousy in the kingdom. This is going to be a major hurdle for some people. And so I'm convinced that we all have a difficulty, stick with me, we all have a difficulty seeing jealousy and pride in ourselves. We can see it in somebody else quick, but we don't really like to see it in ourselves. Like, no, I think I'm doing all right. Well, you're probably not. And so here's why I say that, because all of us struggle with the same problem. It's kind of our default setting. We're all kind of set in that me first mentality, and we have to try. We have to make an effort to not be that person. And so look, if you had a half a head of broccoli stuck between your teeth, you'd want to know about it, right? You'd want somebody to say something. And you can't see it, but everybody you talk to is grossed out by it. And that's how pride and jealousy operates. It's something maybe we can't see in ourselves, but whenever we open our mouths, it's visible to other people. And it is not attractive. If someone said, hey, half your lunch stuck in your teeth, did you swallow any of it? I got less grass in my front yard. It's like, what is going on over there? You growing a chia pet in that? If somebody said those things to you, that's you might know what a chia pet is. You remember those things? You water and it grow out. You had to reach back for some of these references. If somebody said, you got food stuck, that's embarrassing, right? You got food stuck in your teeth. But that's better than carrying on not knowing it. Would you agree with that? You're like, I don't know. Yeah, well, I do. It's better for all of us if you know about it. And so here's where we got to go. I want to encourage us to care enough to ask the hard questions about ourselves in the presence of God. We're not going to take it so well if somebody else comes to you after service like, hey, I think you got a pride problem. That's going to be off-putting a little bit, so don't try to do that. Let's let God handle it, right? But here's where we've got to get to individually. We have to be humble enough to say in the presence of God, even this morning, God, show me, reveal it if I have this going on, if I've got some stuff, that's stuck in my heart that's not very attractive. And we should be devastated to think that maybe we're walking around perhaps unaware that sinful pride has grown to the point that it's visible when we talk. And so we should care enough to get in the presence of God and ask him to reveal that, to show it to us so that because I assume you're here this morning. Look, if you left your house amidst the snow and the ice and the wind and the North Dakota cold to get here, I assume that you want to be doing your very best for God, right? I don't assume you just didn't have nothing else to do today. You guys, of everybody, y'all are on it right now. And so you're looking to move the needle. You want to do your best. You want to be in the presence of God, and you want to learn in the presence of God, and you want to respond to the presence of God, and you want to demonstrate the grace of God. And so if that's your heart, then this is your next step. God, teach me daily if my pride and jealousy and negativity is growing and, visible, and help me know that so that I don't do it, because we don't want to do that. And listen, Jesus is gentle. If it's your desire, if that is your desire, then all you got to do is humble yourself. Just ask him. He'll show you, and he'll help you, and he'll help you get it right. He wants you to get it right, and it's and just need to be open and honest. The fact that it could be me, right? Because we can't see it in ourselves so easily. Let's be sensitive to the possibility that we are the person who secretly, or maybe sometimes openly, wants to be better than other people. It's not an attractive mindset. Maybe you have to be open and humble to the possibility that we have a hard time celebrating other people's successes. Perhaps we struggle with negativity, that we find what's wrong rather than what's right. Listen, I know this is deep spiritual growth stuff. This is not theological stuff, and we're going to get to some deep theological stuff in Romans here in a minute, but this is the heart work that is the hard work. It's not surface teaching. This is more the meat of the Word of God, and it affects the deep areas of our heart. So Paul is demonstrating something that is beautiful that we should emulate. Celebrate others. Celebrate others. Celebrate others. Find something to celebrate about others. If you're thinking negative thoughts, then you'll speak negative words. Make it a goal to find what's right rather than what's wrong. Have you ever met anybody that was a professional problem finder? I mean, it didn't matter what the situation was, they could find the problem. But how good it was, they could find the cloud in every silver lining. And when we're dealing with people, our MO, our modus operandi, should be finding what we can celebrate rather than what we disapprove of or what we disagree with or what we disdain about. That is not spiritual gift. And you can go back and look at the spiritual gifts, and none of that's in there. Whatever is lovely and true and of good report, those are the things that God says to focus on, not what we think stinks about somebody or something, what we hate, what we don't agree with. You know, that's our natural setting. That is our innate response. That is our selfish positioning. That is our pride welling up. That is our jealousy and negativity that we have to fight against. And so we have to, and Paul says that, look, your new nature is at war with your old nature. He's going to tell us that in the book of Romans. And so we have to be fighting this fight, and this is part of it. True godly love celebrates people. Number 2, true godly love prays for people. Verse 9, Paul says, "For God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I mention you always in my prayer." We celebrate people and we pray for people. Who? Everybody. Well, that's a lot of people, I know. It's a lot of people. Our family, our friends, our enemies, our leaders, pray for them, everybody. And for Paul, these were people he was praying for. The Romans, he never met them. He'd only known them by correspondence. Some letters, from hearsay, from somebody else. And yet, he says he prays for them daily. Not only does he do it religiously, he does it so consistently that he calls on God to be his witness. I would not be able to say that. God's my witness. I pray for you daily. I ain't saying that. God's my witness. I want to. Right? So here's a question. Who do you care about enough to pray for daily? Well, maybe your immediate family, right? But I would bet there's some gaps in that. There's some days you forget, some days you get distracted, some days you don't pray for your immediate family. And so what we're seeing here, look, if we want to be godly in our love, it's going to have to come back to our prayer life. Pray for them. Here's the point. Once we start living for the sake and benefit of others, then our time is less consumed with our own pursuits, our own plans, and it's more consumed with the will of God and the well-being of others. And so here's the reality. We live on a seesaw in regards to other people. And the more that life is about us and for our benefit and for our purposes and for our pleasure, the more we're coming up, the more others are going down. And conversely, the more we live for the benefit of others and the success of others and the well-being of others and the service of others, the more they come up, the more we go down. We live on a seesaw. And prayer is a great metric of our seesaw. Are we out of balance? What we spend most of our time praying for is, is our finances, our well-being. Is it our job? Is it our plans, our hopes, our dreams? Or is it other people? Our families, our friends, our neighbors, our relatives, our church family, our leaders, even maybe people that would not naturally be considered part of your group. Maybe even somebody that maybe doesn't even care about for you. Pray for them, Jesus says. Godly love will drive us toward consistent intercession. Our prayer life, don't miss this, is a good metric of our love life. There it is. Paul's demonstrating this for us. Says, listen, godly love celebrates people. Godly love prays for people. Finally, godly love gives to people. Verse 11, for I long to see you that I may impart to you something, some spiritual gift. I want to give you something. I want to strengthen you. I want to build you up. I want to make you better. Paul hopes to help them in some way. About 15 years ago, I read a book. I was preparing actually for the ministry here at Oak Grove. It was before I got here. I was reading a book, so maybe 16 years ago. I don't know. It was by O.S. Hawkins. I don't remember the name of the book. But he made a statement in the book that has stuck with me because it struck to my core, because it actually hit my heart, because I have to be careful about this very thing. Here's, transparency for you, right? Here's what he said. You will either use people to grow the ministry, or you'll use the ministry to grow people. There's the balance of pastoral life. And it struck me because I know my tendency is to grow ministry. And I love growing ministry, and I like being tip of the spear, and I want to reach new people, and I like to see stuff growing and going, and and God has gifted us with all of that. And so, but I also have to be careful that it's not really about having a big church. That's not the goal. That's not the end conclusion. The goal is having people who are on fire for Jesus. And listen, if we would just grow people who are on fire for Jesus, the rest of it take care of itself. And so this is a truth for all of us. It's not just for pastors growing a church. It's about you as well in your life and in your neighborhood or in your job or your business or your industry or your family. All of it comes back to this reality. Is it going to be me using them to grow me, or me using me to grow them? What's the goal? Am I trying to benefit others? Am I trying to use others to benefit me? The concept applies to all of us. People who are able to move the needle the most are the ones who are willing to sacrifice the most. And we can see that just in Scripture. I mean, you go all the way back. Noah, man, he spent decades sacrificially and made an enormous impact. Moses led the children of Israel, and just one of the most selfless guys you'd ever meet, the meekest man on the earth, God said about him. And look at the impact that he made. John the Baptist gave his life to help others prepare for the coming Messiah. And Jesus said of John, there's none greater. Boy, that's high. That is high cotton right there. For Jesus to say of you, hey, there's of everybody born of woman, there's none greater than John the Baptist. Wow. Paul, perhaps one of the most influential people, I'd say, since Jesus, gave his life sacrificially for the well-being of others, demonstrating to us that if you really want to move the needle on the love meter, it requires giving. You cannot love without giving. Now, you can give without loving. Well, how do you know? Because I do it every December. I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm talking about taxes. I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite. That's why we still got Christmas. Oh, man. Lights ain't on the Christmas trees. Bummed out. It's every year, tax assessor's office, I give a nauseating amount of money to keep the stuff I already own and pay taxes on. It drives me crazy. It's a burr in my body. I don't know. It's just a problem for me. I do it cordially, but I don't do it joyfully. I'm nice and I'm happy to everybody, but I'm seething on the inside. You can give without loving. I hate it, actually. But you cannot love without giving. True godly love requires sacrifice of time, sacrifice of finances, sacrifice of self in some way or another. If you're truly going to love, it's going to require a sacrifice. Those who are in Christ, you are different. God has given you a new nature. Paul says, hey, it's going to war. You're going to be at war as you move through this life with the old nature, the selfish nature, the jealous nature, the negative nature. All that's going to be warring with the new nature, which should be selfless, which should be celebrating others, which should be praying without ceasing for other people's well-being, which should be sacrificing for other people's well-being. Selfishness is a sin that is so deeply ingrained that it's going to require us to constantly ask God to expose it. We have to be that kind of follower of Christ where we're willing to say before him on a daily basis, God, search me and try me, see if it's in there. If there's a piece of broccoli between my teeth, God, show it to me. I don't know why we keep using broccoli, because I just think, if you've ever had a piece of broccoli, that stands out, right? From across the room, somebody smiles like, whoa. That's terrible. And so selfishness is that kind of sin. It's so deeply ingrained, and it's something that we typically don't notice within ourselves. We're going to have to consistently get before God and ask him to expose it. Ask him if it's in there, show it to us. And look, we can either live with it and everybody can see it and be grossed out by it, or we can get real about it and humble about it and consistently ask God to root it out of us. Nestor Alexander Hathaway. Anybody recognize that name? I didn't think so. Didn't think you would. He asked a question in his 1993 debut song that continues to live rent-free in our minds. You ready for it? What is love? You're finishing it right now in your head, aren't you? Night at the Roxbury. I know some of you are Saturday Night Live people. You've seen that before, right? I don't know. You never heard the guy's name, but he's a one-hit wonder, and it got famous. I think Saturday Night Live possibly made that famous. What is love? Paul answers this for us in Romans 1. Here it is. You ready? It's simple. Celebrate people. Celebrate with people and their successes. Pray for people in every situation. Pray for people and give to people. It really boils down to three simple things. Celebrate with people, pray for people, give to people. Lather, rinse, repeat, until it becomes our default setting, until it's so ingrained in us that we are able to overcome our natural, selfish, sinful pattern of life. Love people. Look, that is the highest calling. And love God, and second like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. And he says within those two is all of the law. The call today is a call to love. Celebrate people. Find the good. Pray for people. Give to people. Pray with me. Father, our desire is to demonstrate the kind of love for others that you have demonstrated to us, Lord, and you have been so consistent, so faithful, so gracious to us. How could we but be grateful? You have given us so much, Lord, that we have only every reason to demonstrate love to everybody else. Lord, help us be the kind of people that celebrate other people. Lord, that we don't walk in negativity or jealousy or pride. Lord, help us be the kind of people that consistently pray. Remind us of those that we need to pray for. Help us to be consistent with a prayer guide and a prayer map and prayer list. Father, and help us to be the selfless kind of people that give consistently, sacrificially, in the demonstration of love, that you might have the glory. In the name of Jesus we pray.